Okay. Questions, comments?
John.
Yeah. Where are we?
Over here.
Hi.
You asked if you had closed. I think something that we see with top-notch recruiters in our company, she went from, I'm very happy where I am, and then you started talking about income splits and things like that, and she basically started to close herself, saying, well, maybe I will come, and I'm not that happy. So there was a transition that took place, and you didn't close at all. She started to close herself.
You got it. So what you're doing, you're in the conversation. You're getting them thinking. Write that down. You're just getting them thinking. Are you with me? You don't need to be hammering. Get them thinking. They're going to get you to where they want to go. They're going to get themselves to where you want them to go. You just have to be the sounding board. Are you with me?
John, if you're talking to a mega and they are very down on their company, very negative, how in your conversation with them what questions can you ask them to pull out, maybe if it's a cultural issue with them or if there's really valid company concerns?
When someone's bashing their company, the last thing that I'm going to do is pile on. Mm-hmm. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, what is it about you? What I get is I get them out of their company and I say, what is it that you're looking for in a company? Mm-hmm. Because if we focus on their company, they're not moving. But if we could sit there and say, if you could design a company, what would that company look like to meet your needs? Then it gets them, and then what you're doing is you're looking for matchups. You're looking for what matches up. Does that help? Yes. Yes.
I've had this happen before that I've had a mega come in. They knew about how long the appointment was supposed to be. They sat down. I was intending to do, a needs analysis before going anywhere. And they say, oh, by the way, something has come up. All I have is about a half hour. And these are a couple questions I have. Now, you don't want to go there with them. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to have time to get to know them if you're just answering their questions. Yet they're sort of high D, not so much high I. And they came in, but they came in because they wanted answers to those questions. So what are your suggestions?
What I do is that when anybody asks a question, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I answer their question, but I'm going to ask why it's important that they're asking that question. Are you with me? So what happens is that there's Y4C2Ts, the W stands for win-win. Now, I'm not going to go into that. Well, here at our company, we're about win-win, and if you just ask a question, I'm not going to go into that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be thinking that, and I'm going to sit there and say, okay, they want this information, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, look, I totally understand that. Can I just ask why those questions? So what we can do is we can make sure that although we have a short time, that we have a real full conversation. Because chances are they're asking other managers that same thing, these same questions. If you ask a great question, they're going to look at you and say, Stan down at XYZ just answered my question. She asked me a question back that was very thought-provoking. And that's putting you can't control what they're thinking. All you can do is just be a great business person and a great leader and ask great questions back. And then you answer their question. Does that help? Even if what you're doing is you're coming back and you're saying, now these questions, can I ask you why those questions are really important to you? And then they're going to say, well, this, and then that gets a conversation going.
I follow you as far as how to handle that, but meanwhile, you're stuck with only 30 minutes. You ask the why, you find out a little bit, but you didn't get but this far. And of course, you're going to try to set up another time to meet since we had a shortened time.
Yeah.
But
that's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
That's all you can do. And that's why you've got to make sure that what you've got to do is you've got to have new bullets in your gun all the time. Because if you're waiting for that, I know you're not saying this, so not saying you. If one is waiting for that person to have that next appointment and they're not developing more relationships, we may be waiting a long time. Does that make sense to everybody? So what you're doing is you're going to say, I really would like to have the next conversation, but it's okay. It's okay. I would love this person to be here, but it's okay because I've got these 6 other cappers that I'm working on right now. Yes?
Since we are so different than other real estate companies, a lot of times if you leave it up to them, they're going to ask you all the wrong questions. Is there ever a time, as you develop a relationship, where you set time aside to actually explain our model in our way?
Okay, what we've got is now, remember where we are in the process. This is just the needs analysis. This is just the needs analysis. We're coming to the presentation. Absolutely, there's time to. This is the needs analysis. We're finding what we need to talk about, to move over here into the presentation. This is the setup in there. Is everybody with me on that? Oh, yes.
John.
Yes, superstar.
John, thank you. Just an observation that I had. You started out by saying, I want you to relax, and I'm not going to try to close you today. I was sitting here pretending I was Vicky and how I would feel or answer that, and my first thought was I would be going, why aren't you going to try to close me today? Everyone in town wants to close me. And what seemed to happen in that interview was that she started trying to make you close her. It's almost like
it's a takeaway.
You did a takeaway.
It's a takeaway. I'm here to get to know you. And what you've got to understand is it's a takeaway, not in a mean way. I'm not saying to do a takeaway in a manipulative way, folks. I'm not saying that. Not to mess with people's minds. What I'm saying is what happens is this is a different approach. I want to be different than the rest of the people in town. I don't want to sit there and say, hey, name it, let's get out the checkbook. What's it going to take to get you over here? No. That's cheap. That's cheap.
John, I have a script that's worked for me for that. I only have 30 minutes, and I'll just put it out there. It might work for other people. Typically, somebody who comes in and says, I only have 30 minutes is a high D. Would we agree with that? Yeah. And so here's what I say to them. I go, well, I understand how you feel, John. Looking at your numbers before you got here, you have presently 61 active listings, huh? Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question. The last time you went on a listing presentation and the seller said to you, listen, I only have 30 minutes. Give it to me fast. How did that work for you? Did you get the listing? And they all say, well, no. And great. What do you think of value can come out of 30 minutes? Why don't we just have some coffee, get to know one another, take out your calendar or your palm, and let's look at when you do have a good hour and a half that we can sit down, we can start to get to know one another and build a relationship.
Great job. Great job. Great job. Yes.
I've also found that setting the context at the very beginning about the process does help in terms of setting the expectations. And so some things that I've used are things like, I wanted to have the opportunity to talk with you about whether or not there's a mutual interest in us working together. And typically this process can take anywhere from 1 to 12 hours of investment. And anywhere along that line, that timeline, one of three outcomes could occur. We could decide that we're going to fall in love with each other and start working together immediately. We could decide that really right now isn't necessarily the best time, or that we want to continue to invest the time in this process and continue to talk with each other so that we can make an informed decision.
Great.
That way I think the person doesn't feel like, as with most people, you're going to come in and try to nail them that day, and that's where the resistance comes in.
Yeah. The one thing that I just really want you to do is I love all these scripts. I love all these scripts. The one thing that I want you to do with any course, I want you to try what we're asking you to do. Remember what we've got. Remember who has done this course. It's not just John Davis standing up in front of you and saying, do this. This is Gary Keller that's speaking today. This is Mo Anderson that's speaking today. This is Mary Tennant that's speaking today. This is Sean Rawls that's speaking today. This is Madison Offenhauser speaking today. This is Craig Owen speaking today. This is Carol Cohn speaking today. These are wonderful, 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 two more wonderfuls, recruiters. Okay? They're wonderful recruiters. I want you to try this process of just saying, I've got two goals today. One is to get to know you. The other one is to answer all the questions that you have about Keller Williams. Broccoli. I want you to try it and then go from there. Okay. Do we have Gary? And then
so you want to answer all my questions? Great. So I want a 90. Can I have a 90-10 I just want to know about the money. And so if you could just bottom line it for me, I would really appreciate that.
Great. I'll bottom line it for you.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need to make this bigger than it is. You know, if someone's going to come with their behavior, they're going to come with their behavior. Let's not try to change their behavior. Let's sit there and say, if this is what they've got, then this is what they've got. Chances are, if you've done a great job of allied resourcing recruiting and relationship recruiting, people are going to be wanting to talk to you. Are you with me? I just want to know, if people come in and shoot at you, chances are they see you as not valid. I'm sorry, I know that hurt. I didn't mean to. But we've got to do that. And then we're going to go here, and then we got to move on.
The most powerful phrase that I use in getting deep with people is just, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And it really sets them off and makes them start thinking and really opens them up. The second thing is I was the high D mega that walked in 30 minutes, and I brought my whole team. I didn't care about relationship with the team leader because my relationship was with one of the owners who had called me for 5 years. So I think you have to evaluate who that person is and what their previous relationship is, because I didn't care about my relationship with her. All I cared about was the numbers, and I joined 2 days later.
Right.
So don't miss that opportunity if they only have 30 minutes.
Right. Right. I think that what you do is what you're doing is you're going to make a first impression. That's what you've got, and what you've got is you've got the needs analysis, and I want you to truly understand it's about the needs analysis. Okay? We've got all F into scripts, and I love the scripts, but what I want you to do is I want you to think how conversational it was when we were up here. Okay? Vicki, did you feel that you were under any pressure or any of those things when you were up here?
No, but, in my opinion, if someone comes in and they fire those questions at you like Gary did,
Yeah.
and that person decides to come over, and I mean, people like that are, real direct, and they either, like you said, because they don't see you as value, or they're just like
valid, not value.
Okay,
they
valid.
Don't see you as valid.
Valid, and they're going to probably be a high D, so they want that information. You're obligated to give them that information when they ask for it.
Absolutely.
And if you don't do that as a high producer or a mega, you are going to totally offend them.
Folks, where we are in the process right now, we're just at the needs analysis. We're going to the next part, which is your presentation. Okay? Your presentation and the needs analysis happen at the same time, or happening at the same meeting. Okay? It's not like we're not talking to the person. Okay? Is everybody with me on that? Okay, ready? Let's do this. Everybody breathe in. Hold. Out. Let's do one more time. Breathe in. Okay, we're moving on. Okay, on page 53. Now what we want to do is, how is their market? We want to get into the market. How is their market, meaning the agent's market? How are they doing with this? Now what you're doing is, then what you do is, how is your mindset? In down markets, agents may personally fear a loss of income or security. They may be more reluctant or hesitant to make big changes in their life. Once again, may or may not. Are you with me? They may or may not be hesitant to entertain the idea of a new company model, new systems, new rules, new management, new company brand, and marketing presence. It's your objective. It's your objective is to get them to think, is to create a safe environment. Like we did with Vicki, we created a safe environment, and now what we're doing is, now what we're going to do is we want to work to create a sense of urgency. We want to work to get them to come over quickly. We're going to give you some tools to do that. What I want you to do is I want you to get into groups of 3. Okay, ready? Get in groups of 3. Quick. 1, 2, 3. Move. Quickly. Just turn around. And what I want you to do, hold on. 1, 2, 3. Shh. What I want you to do is I want one of you right now to point to the person who's going to be the team leader. Okay, does everybody have it? Okay, does everybody who has the team leader, does everybody know who the team leader is? Say yes. Okay. I want the other people to work out who's going to be the recruit. You got it? Yes? Okay? And then what I want you to do is then the other person, the observer, you are there to observe. What I want you to do is I want you to observe the team leader. I want the team leader to be asking any questions. I do not want the team leader to sit there and say, you garden? I garden too. Isn't that great? I love gardening. No. That's not the place. What you want is you want the team leader to be asking great questions and finding out the hot buttons. Are you with me? So what I want you to do is we're going to go through this. We're going to do this exercise. The first team leader has about 7 minutes. So kind of move this along. Then we're going to rotate. On your mark, please do this exercise and keep your list because we've got another exercise that builds on this. So get the needs analysis. On your mark, get set, go. Okay. What'd you get? What'd you get from this? Now, is this hard? It's hard. Whoa, well, we got a yes. Why is it hard? Why is it hard? Come on up. Come on. Grab the microphone. Why is it hard?
Well, first of all, I don't currently work for Keller Williams. I've decided since coming to the conference that I'm going to join Keller Williams.
Hey, all right! That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, touchdown. There we go.
So it was hard in the sense that you took me out of my comfort. So I get a hug?
Oh, you get a hug. There we go. There we go. And then the microphone. Hey, we got this. Go back to you.
It was just hard in the sense that it took me out of my comfort zone. Thought I was an actress. Didn't pull it off very well, but.
So it's just not easy yet. Is that right?
It's just not easy yet.
It's just not easy yet. Okay. Well, how is it going to get easier?
Well, just repetition, practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm coming over to talk to this guy. Hey, could you put this on? What else? What else did you? Okay, yeah. It was hard not to keep talking. To keep talking. Yeah. To do that. What we've got to do is we've got to watch our high. We've got to watch our high I or high vector 2 coming up. Yeah.
After listening to your presentation,
Yeah.
It was very hard not to ask closed-ended questions. And I tend to try to always ask open-ended questions. For whatever reason, I couldn't get through to my open-ended questions. It was really interesting.
Okay. Why do you think that was?
I was asking definitive answers instead of tell me more about that. What does that mean to you?
Did I do that to you? I'm sorry.
You didn't do that to me, but your style, I wanted to emulate it. And what I was hearing were specific, what we'd call smart questions.
Yeah.
Because they were specific, action-oriented, whatnot questions that you were asking, and I wanted to try to be more like that to practice it to do better.
Okay. That is a great aha. Thank you very much. When we talked at break and we prompted this, that is a great. What I want you to do. Bill, there we go. Yeah. Give him a round of applause. Okay. Here's what we've got to do with recruiting. Who is going to be doing the recruiting at your market center? You are. Okay. So who should you be like? You. Are you with me? Be you. That's what team leaders kind of get. I can't be anybody else. Are you with me? I can't be. The only thing is just the questions. I can't be you. I wouldn't be very good at being you. Well, you are wonderful, but I can't be you. So team leaders, I want you to do that. Mary Tennant's absolutely incredible, but there's only one Mary Tennant. Are you with me? She's incredible. She asks great questions, but at the end of the day, Mary's Mary. You're you, I'm me. Be who you are. Just ask great questions. Okay. Great job. Great on. Yes.
And it was a great exercise for me to pace myself, even though coming out of my personality, Anita high-D'd me big time, mega, and I had to
kind of dance with that control. She was trying to take control of the conversation, and I had to get it back. And so that was great exercise for me.
Yeah, and it's okay for them to have control. You just want to let them have control. Think of it, this part of the segment, they have control. I'm going to get them back going this way. Because remember we did gardening, Vicki and I did gardening, and we hit gardening, and then we moved on from it. I mean, we didn't stop on gardening. We hit it, and then we moved. There, we've got, so, yes.
What, the lady who's coming over, what's your name?
Yes? Sandry?
Sandry?
Yes?
You are so my favorite.
Ah, Sandry! That's what I'm talking about. There we go. There we go. Good one. You're my favorite. Okay, energy's good. What do we got back here?
Hey, John.
Hey, Rob.
One of the things I noticed with all three of us is that when the team leaders conducting the interview were focused on really listening to what the person was saying and actually having their next question come from what the candidate was saying versus the next question the team leader wanted to ask, it was so much more powerful. And it was so much more effective. So I think it's just important for all of us to not be stuck on the questions we want to ask, but actually go with the flow of the conversation and really listen and react.
There you go. And that's why it's so important, Rob, to keep the key note taking. So what it does is and then what you can do is you can download on the piece of paper, and then it keeps you present in the conversation. Or you keynote take, it keeps you present rather than going, okay, I'm going to come back to that one. Ooh, that's when I'm going to go. Great job, Rob. Yes?
Hey, John, I got to say that for all the times we've been to these sessions and all, first off, an accolade to you. That was probably one of the best scripts and dialogues I've seen and just watched the on-stage performance. I want to give you credit to that. That was great.
Thank you. Thank you. You're my favorite now, Fred.
Yeah, I'm not trying to suck up to you. Okay.
But the thing is, coming from you, this is big stuff, so thank you very much.
But what I want to say is I think when we get in this, what really helped with that for me was it's not about always trying to get in there and just get your questions out. Because that's what I always feel is I got to get my questions out. I have to be there. I have to be in control. And so when you watch that, you realize just let it flow naturally. Be who you are, as you said. But it's still such a struggle to try to release that. So what would you say, just words of wisdom, to release that control that we all feel as Ds?
Practice, 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 practice. The more recruit appointments that you have, that's going to do it. Okay. That's going to do it. Because then what we do is we get into that, I've got a recruit appointment. I've got to get my questions out. Something's going to come out. But anyways, what you do is you just want to keep moving. Okay, thanks. Okay, hey, we've got last one and then we're moving.
Can you do that again?
Okay, there you go.
You know what I noticed when I was observing, when I was the observer, was that I was anxious because I didn't know where it was going. And so she was asking great questions, and he was answering the questions, and I was going, okay, move on, move on, move on. Isn't that awful? And so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, when I'm doing the interview, I think that's what I'm doing, is I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to ask the question and give me the answer so I can move on.
Right.
And so I think just knowing that, being able to internalize it, allows them to speak freely.
Have you taken the AVA?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, low vector 3?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a 9.
So you got to sit on that. You got to pull that tow truck up on your low vector 3. In there. That's a good thing. That's not bad. I want you to know that's great. It's wonderful that you're low vector 3. Okay. All right. So now what I want you to do is I want you to take a look. Hey, the disc is another way to really start talking about this, but I want you to understand that there are serious limitations with the disc. And the disc is not the end all be all. I just want everybody to know that. We're moving forward. Everybody breathe. Okay. The other thing that we've got is that we've got a new tool, which is the AVA, which rocks, which is absolutely incredible, which is all about relationships. We're going to get more into it. But the AVA, for those people that have not been to Recruit Select, please go. Talk to your regional directors. Get a regional director. Get a Recruit Select scheduled in your area. It is a phenomenal course. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool for you team leaders. Okay, now we're getting into your presentation. Is this good? Let's see. Yeah, now we're getting into the presentation. Here we go. We did the needs analysis. Now what I want you to do is I want you to think of it this way. what we've got here, I spelt that last night to make sure that I didn't screw it up. So we've got their hot buttons. Okay? We've got their hot buttons. And where did we get their hot buttons from? The needs analysis. Now what you are doing when you're in the needs analysis and you're taking your key notes, you're sitting there and you're going, okay, what are we going to talk about? Not what I want to talk about. Are you with me? What are we going to talk about? You've got their hot buttons. You've got, that's value. You've got your value prop, your value proposition. This is what we're going to talk about. Does everybody see that? Is we're going to talk about where we have commonality. We are not going to go into the whole value proposition. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the stuff that they want to talk about and the stuff that matches up. Is everybody with me? That's what we're going to be doing. Because who said that they wanted to talk about this stuff? They did. So how responsive are you being to them? Who's the subject? They are. What do you think? Yeah, the room got, what happened? Is that an aha in there? Okay. I just want you to understand that. What you've got to do is think when you're going through this and you're meeting the people, when they come in, you're going to offer them a compliment. Right? Is a compliment emotional or logical? It's emotional. Then what we're going to do is we're going to have them start talking, right? Okay? There's going to be emotion and logic in there. In their mind, is it emotion or is it logic? It's logic in their mind. So we start with an emotion. Hey, it's great to see you. I mean, you do the allied resource recruiting. You do your the similarity recruiting. Does that make sense? With everybody, the people that you bring, that your people in your market center, they're helping getting that person there. You offer a compliment to the person that got that person there. You're building them. Allied resource, you're building that person. You're saying great stuff about that person. We get them talking into the logic. And now what we do is now we're moving into the presentation where we offer another compliment. I can see why you were so successful. I'd like to answer your questions. Then we move into logic. Emotion, logic, emotion, logic. Everybody see that? So if you follow that formula, you're okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to end it with emotion. This has been a really great time. I have won. I want to thank you very much. Sound good? Okay. So the elements of your presentation. Elements. Now, what's an element? It's a part. Is it the end-all, be-all? Okay. So what we've got is when you're looking at this, when you're doing the element of your presentation, understand that your presentation, a part of it may be the business model. A part of it may be the culture. A part of it may be the training, education at Keller Williams University. A part of it might be the profit sharing. A part of it might be the history of Keller Williams. A part of it might be the ALC. Is everybody tracking on that? How do we know what's going to make it into the presentation and what's not going to be in the presentation? The needs analysis. If they say, I want to talk about, Vicki, if they wanted to talk about profit sharing, boy, I mean to tell you, that's in the presentation. If they wanted to talk about the economic model, boy, the commissions, that's in the presentation. You have to know the stories. You don't have to give all the stories at the same time. Got to be flexible. Got to be flexible. When we were listing agents, was each listing presentation the exact same? The formula was the same, but what we said was different. Because each person's different. And that's the beauty of our model. It's flexible. It's not rigid. Sound good? Okay. By the way, do you have to be an expert on the business model, the culture, the training, the profit share, the history of Keller Williams and the ALC? I say no. You've got to have a good working understanding of that, but you don't have to. But you have to know someone who is an expert. Okay? You have to know someone who is. And by the way, if we can get another person talking to them, does that help you? The more people you have involved in this, the better. Don't get territorial. I'm the only one that does any recruiting around here. Don't get territorial. What you do is the more people, this is a team sport. The more people you've got involved in this, the better the soup is. Sound good? Okay. What we've got there is the other elements to consider is your market center story, millionaire systems, e-agency, compensation, growth. Now, do we want to spend time on those or do we understand those? Okay, we understand those. I just want to say culture on page 58, when you're talking about culture, sprinkle it in through the entire presentation. Sprinkle it into the entire presentations. Let them know what our values are. But you're sprinkling it. You're not hitting it. You're sprinkling it in throughout there. Because you don't know that you just sprinkle it in. You'll see if it's resonating. The training, the education, that's huge. That's our value proposition. The cost value, I just want everybody to know, we're not about being the cheapest. We're about being the best. Everybody got that? We're about not being the cheapest. We're about being the best. And what I mean by the best is we're bringing the most value. Keller Williams is about bringing the most value. Profit share. Keller Williams Connect has incredible profit sharing in there. It's under the power perspectives. So go to there. That's a nice little video to watch there. Keller Williams Connect, so utilize it. I mean, it's incredible. That tool is absolutely fantastic. Utilize it because I'm going to tell you, they speak so much more powerfully than I do. And I said, hey, I'll let them watch a video. Sounds good to me. And then we're going to discuss that. Yes?
Dave, I just got to tell you that I'm new.
Yeah?
We haven't translated all that stuff. These pages 58, 59, and 60, I have been looking for this information since the day I started. I am so happy to have these pages. I can't tell you how much I thank you.
Let's give Keller Williams University a big shout out. Yeah! Yeah! Way to go, Shannon Musgrove, Dr. Rebecca John. Good job. And everybody else that wrote the course. Okay, so now what we've got, and then what we've got there, and the other things that we're to look at is that there is so much out there. If you look at page 60, these are all the Keller Williams University courses, the Keller Williams Connects, the MAPS coaching, all of those things. What you want to do with your presentation, do you want to close them right then? That would be the ultimate outcome. If you don't get that, is it a failure? No, you're just closing for the next meeting. You're closing for the next event. Okay? So team leaders, I want you to get rid of all that. Oh my gosh, my OP is talking to me again about did I get him? No. Yeah, I got him. I got him to the next appointment. Yeah, I got him. I got him to the next training. Does that give you hope? Does that give you power? So I want you to sit there with your OPs. Did you get him? Yeah, I got him. I got him to the next appointment. Did you get him? Yeah, I got him to the next training. And I can't wait till we get there. I know that these are their hot buttons that we need to do to address at the next meeting. Okay. On page 61, Thriving in a Shifting Market is an incredible class. This is an incredible class for our megas. It's an incredible class to be bringing other recruits to. Please, I'm sorry I got to talk about me for just a second. I apologize. I truly do. How the Market Center went from $475,000 in debt to being the fourth most profitable market center in the system did not happen because I was a great recruiter. I want to be really upfront with you. How it happened is that when in the region, that market center had the most people at training all the time. We had more people at training than other market centers combined. We just sat there because what it did was it was a great retention tool, And it was a great recruiting tool because all I had to do was sit in the back, not talking to the other team leaders. Some of the other team leaders got mad at me. I'm sorry. But what I did is I had my head on a swivel, and all I knew that recruit was right there. I knew that recruit was right there. I knew that recruit was right there. And I knew that recruit was right there. And all I had to do was watch their body language. And I had to watch when they turned to people. Was that a bad thing or was that a buying sign? Buying sign. So when I would go talk to him, I'd say, what do you think? Do you have any questions? No, I think everything's really good. Thank you so much for inviting me to this. Now, if I got someone that was a little cold, a little frigid, so those type of things, I knew it was maybe the AC or maybe it was the presentation. I'd offer them my jacket. Then I knew. You with me? So please, team leaders, leverage yourself. Learn to leverage yourself. You don't have to do it all. Get people in front of the people who can. By the way, you're a great leader by working through people if you do that. Does this help? Are you feeling and saying, hey, there may be hope? What's that? I want you to, PJ, I love it when you're feeling the love. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to get back in your groups. Okay, ready? Move to your groups quickly. Now what I want you to do, based on, and this is a real quick exercise, by the way. I want you to go, the first person go quickly. I want you to, each person spend about 2 minutes on this. You have your notes, right, from when you were doing your needs analysis. Now what I want you to do is I want you to design the presentation that you're going to talk to the person about. Does that make sense to everybody? What you're going to talk to them about. On your mark, this exercise, I want you to be done in about 6 minutes on this one. Okay, because what you're doing is you're going bing, bang, boom. On your mark, get set, go. Hey, yes, superstar. One, two, three, shh. Okay, so now, well, how easy was it to do your presentation, to know what to talk about? Very easy. Are you seeing the formula? Great needs analysis, and then speak to what they want you to speak to. That's it. Now, everything's going to come in later on, because, by the way, they're going to have if you're speaking to what they want, how many people like to talk about themselves? Come on, show of hands. How many of you like talking about yourselves? Okay, so now what you're doing is that, now let's think about this. They're coming in, they're talking about themselves, and then what you did is you asked them specifically, and I want to answer all the questions that you want to know about Keller Williams. And then you actually do it. How great are they going to feel? Okay? Your relationship building, because what you're doing is you're doing exactly what you said. By the way, real estate agents have a mistrust of management. I don't know if you know that. So now what you're doing is you're building a relationship from day one that you're doing exactly what you said you were going to do. Do you know how powerful that is? It's not about a game. It's not about a technique. You're being very straight with them right up front. Sound good? You're doing great. You're doing great. Okay, now what I want to do, and you know what? We're not going to spend a lot of time on the presentation. You know why? Because each presentation is going to be different. You have to know your stories. You have to know your scripts and dialogues about the economic model. You have to know your scripts and dialogues about profit sharing. And what I really suggest you do is when you talk about profit sharing, focus on the culture of profit sharing. Not about getting rich. Focus on the culture. If there's a rich culture, you never have to worry about the money. Focus on the education, your script on the education. You have these stories, and then what you do is you're able to deliver them when it's the appropriate time to deliver them. And it's all going to come out. I don't want anybody to think that we're holding. Hey, what are objections? A great opportunity for you to find out what the recruit's really interested in. I want you, remember that your goal shouldn't be to overcome the objection. Does everybody understand that? The goal is not to overcome the objection. People sometimes sit there, let's overcome an objection. Don't. Just ask another question. Ask another question and say, that's a great question. Can you tell me specifically what about that's important to you? Okay? You never want to get, especially low vector 3, high vector 1 people, and you're saying, John, you're going into lingo. I want that information. Come to Recruit Select. What you've got there is don't get triggered. Never get triggered by the person. What you're going to do, if they throw an objection out, say, that's a great question. Can you tell me what specifically about that that's really important to you so that we really get that, we get to the heart of the matter? Does that sound in their face? Does that sound like you're coming back at them? They're like, whoa, you're just hitting the ball back in their court. They took a shot. You're shooting them right back in their court. It's okay. And they're like, whoa, this is different. My manager yells at me at this point. Okay? So you're just moving it forward. Just wanted to do objective. So what I've got is on page 64, is that here's some scripts for business reasons, for commission splits. I'm happy where I am, change, leads, and shifting markets. I want you to understand, with business reasons, is it says, I have too much business right now. It's not the right time. I may get knocked down to a 50-50 commission split if I leave because I leave my listings there. Does everybody understand the concept of making the tool of making someone whole? Everybody understands that concept? Does everybody understand the concept of cap management? Cap management is when you take January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. And what you do is you put your cappers, what the anniversary dates are on those cappers. You're probably going to see that there is a few holes in there. What I would do is I would talk with your operating partner about this. Everybody got that? And then what I would do is I would ask permission, is that if you have a $10 million producer, if they come over now, and let's say that you've got a zero cap, you don't have any caps in the month of, let's say, March, say, you know what, let's have them come over right now, but their cap won't start until March. Y4C2Ts, when the T stands for teamwork, together everyone achieves more. Does everyone win on that deal? Everyone in the market center, does everyone in the market center win? Why? They're still going to pay their cap. We're not reducing company dollar by any way, shape, or form. We're not reducing company dollar. What we're doing is that when do we need that money? March. Does that help everybody with profit share? Yeah. That recruit wins. The company wins. You win. Who's losing? Nobody. What's that? Really, I don't even think the other broker's losing. I think the other broker is sitting there and they're discovering a need. When anybody leaves you, don't get mad. Just sit there and go, what's the need that we need to help bolster up to make it better here in this market center? It helps to work on the value proposition. What we've got there, and then on page 65, I don't want to go on a commission split. This is a great opportunity to teach and educate. Educate, it's about the net. It's not about the split. Okay? Well, I'm on an 85-15. You know, I can't come over for a 70-30. I'm taking a step down. Well, you educate them about the money, the dollars. And what you do is you truly educate. Think about someone in your life that was really great to you, that you absolutely adore. Close your eyes. No one's going to touch you. No one should touch anybody. Okay. Close your eyes. And when you're sitting there, is think about that person in your life that you just think really great things about, that you want to be like them. Chances are it was your parent or a teacher or a coach. Is everybody with me? Is that now you've got a great opportunity to be that coach or that teacher in there. So just educate them. The other thing that I always think is fun is if you've got someone that's kind of stuck on the dollar, invite to meet with their wife or their husband in that presentation. I would love to talk. You know, this has been so great. I would love to meet with your wife or with your husband on those things, because chances are when they see the difference of the dollar amount, they go, you mean we could be making $120,000 more if we were over here? And we're talking about flyers right now? Are you with me? Get the spouse involved. Get the significant other involved. Get the partner involved in this. And then all of a sudden, you've got an ally. Are you with me? And by the way, how many other managers have ever asked to meet the spouse or the significant other or the partner? Just doesn't happen. Just something to, I'm happy where I am. Hey, turn to page 68. Diana Kokoska has a great script here. Often when I talk with talented agents, they tell me that they're happy where they are. But I also know that most people are even happier when they have more production. Are you with Diana? And there's so many great scripts with Keller Williams Maps. As you can see, that's where it came from. Really utilize Keller Williams Maps. For what they do, map systems are incredible. This is a great script. Because you know what? I always get that happy one. I'm going, I love that you're happy. You know, I get into that one. But that one helped me. Get them into the production. Get them into and that really helps. Did that help you? Because that one was a tough one for me. Was like, I'm happy. And I go, oh, I love you that you're happy. Okay. And then change. Change that we've got. I know it's going to be, you know, I don't want to leave my friends. Smokey, to do that, can you tell what your number one recruiting technique has been?
Say that again.
Can you? I want you to know I love you that you were paying attention.
Yes.
What's been your number one closing technique and number one strategy for getting people to join your office? It's been most effective. That you talked to me about on the phone last week.
Well, I mean, let's go back to our value proposition. Our value proposition is training. I mean, it depends upon who I'm talking to as far as what my number one is. Oh,
tell that story about the
thank you. Okay. Took a second.
We did not plan this at breakfast. Notice everybody else we did at breakfast. Smokey, you're doing great, by the way. I love you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, yes. In terms of that, everybody, as far as the things we've attended, everybody's been to training. The one that everybody comes to is that no one has ever not joined our office from is getting into sales meeting. And I didn't know that. That was kind of an aha that I found out that just hit me last week, actually, while we were talking about that. Because I got to look, and everybody that comes to our sales meeting, I mean, it's not the training, it's not anything else. Everybody that has come to our sales meeting has got to know everybody and joined our culture, and that's the part that's brought them on. And that was a huge aha for me because I didn't think sales meetings were that great. But
tell them what they loved about your sales meeting.
The energy, the excitement.
The buckets. Filling the buckets.
I was getting there, actually. I actually had that one. You didn't have to prompt me on that.
Wait, ready for this?
That was going.
Miss with the dark hair, with the glasses, right over here. I'm going to just do exactly what I did yesterday.
Got it. No, but it's a positive energy, and we spend the first 15, 20 minutes of each sales meeting filling buckets. We got that from Mo Anderson last year, and it really has caught on. We truly spend about 15 minutes of the sales meeting where each person, for those of you who don't know what filling buckets is where you find something and notice something that someone else did good, and then you announce that at the sales meeting. And so I'm done. You can get up now. Okay. Thank you, Smokey.
Smokey Garrett, give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
He succeeds in spite of his operating partner. I mean to tell you. What happened there is that people were saying what Smokey told me. What Smokey told me is that people would come and they said, man, you guys actually speak nice to each other at the sales meeting. Everybody's talking and saying good things about each other at the sales meeting. At my office, boy, it's kind of like open warfare. This is cool. I want this type of culture. So just be thinking, whenever you have someone that has, I want my friends here, get them to a sales meeting. Make sure that your sales meeting are displaying your culture. By the way, speed of the leader, speed of the pack. If your sales meeting aren't what you want them to be right now, what do you have to do? Just change it. It's okay. Hey, shifting markets. I want to talk about shifting markets. And I want to give you a technique. Let's say, think of the top agent that you want in your office. Now, let's say that your market's maybe down 5, 10, 15, 20, 25%. I don't know. All throughout the country. East Coast, possibly West Coast, maybe the Heartland. You look at those things, and now let's say, do you think that they would be interested if there was a real estate office that was up 70% over this time last year? Do you think they might want to talk? Do you think they might want to talk? Do you think if you said, we have closed 80% more this year than we did last year, do you think that becomes a great marketing tool to sellers? Does that become a great marketing tool to sellers? Team leaders, track your numbers. Know your numbers. Know your numbers backwards and forwards. Have your trend report. If you can show, Leslie, that people are going, that the market is such and such, but we're up such and such, then what happens? People go, wow, how did you do it? I want to be a part of that. Is everybody following, tracking on that? Know your numbers. Talk with your ALC about your numbers. Pump them up. When you have those increases, then they're great. By the way, if you recruited $10 million, a $10 million producer, what did you just do to close volume? Brought up $10 million. If you just recruited two $10 million producers, what did you just do to close volume? Just increased it by 20. What are your percentages now? Do you have something to talk to talent about? Do you think that they're probably going to want to talk to you about those things? Recruiting helps you overcome objections. It helps you overcome objections so much. So really know your numbers. But everybody see that point? Yes? Give me a hoo-ah. Hoo-ah? Hoo-ah? All right, we got a hoo-ah. Okay, so what would happen if you were talking to people and your written volume was up 20%? If you were talking to people and you let them know that your written units were up 55%. If you were talking to people and your listing volume was up 26%. If your listing volume was up 30%. If your closed volume was up 70%. And your closed units were up 70%. Do you think that talent might want to talk about that? Do you think that they might be at least curious? Do you think they might take a meeting with you? I just want to give you hope. Just want to give you tools. Use logic. Understand emotion. Use logic. Use the numbers. Use the numbers. Understand the emotion behind it. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to go quick. We're going to go quick to page 69, and we're going to be always building the relationship. In this first part, I want you to look at it this way. Your goal of the relationship is to get to know your prospective recruit in a deeper, richer level. Okay, we're on the top of page 160. We're on the top of 69. And it says, your goal of going into a presentation or going into a recruit appointment is to get to know your prospective at a deeper level. You want to establish trust. Well, what you've done is you've told them that you've had two goals and you're hitting them. You're hitting on those two goals, right? Do you think that's going to help build trust? Let them know that you care about their needs. Well, what did we just do? We did the needs analysis, and then we talked about that. Are we doing that? If we follow the formula that we've talked about, are we doing that? Give me a yes or a no. Yes? Okay. Thank you. All right. Now what I want you to do is see where it says help them to start thinking. I want you to cross out like we think. Oh my gosh, what is he doing? I want you to just get them to start thinking. It's too much pressure the first time you meet is to get them to think like we think. I want you to just get them to start thinking. Okay? Just get them to start thinking. That's going to be the thing. Pull them out. And then what's secondary, so those are your primary. Get to know the perspective, establish trust, let them know that you care about their needs, help them to start thinking. That's primary. If you could kind of just sit there, that's primary. Secondary, I want them to hear the value of our models and get them to appreciate Keller Williams Realty. Wait a minute, that's the whole goal. No, the whole goal is to establish trust, is to establish a relationship. That's extra. That's the icing on the cake. Okay? How do you guys feel about that? You guys just saying that because you think I'm the instructor? Okay, good. I stayed in a Holiday Inn Express. Okay. Now what I want you to do is always be closing. Wait a minute. I knew there was a catch. The shoe was going to fall. No, always be closing for just the next appointment. Okay? Always be closing for the next. Okay, recruiting's kind of like dating. What you've got to understand, there's a time and place for everything. The first date's not the appropriate time. Does everybody understand that? So what you've got to do for a commitment, that's what I'm talking about, a commitment, you people. So anyway, I'm talking about, so what we've got to do is you've got to understand we're not looking for a commitment on the first date. What we're doing is we're getting to know each other. We're developing rapport and trust. So you're always going to be, so number 1, primary. 2, always be closing. And then 3rd, you're always closing. You're closing to set another meeting to continue the exchange of information. Everybody see that formula? We're setting up another meeting so that you can consult with them with something that they need help. We're on the bottom of page 69. We're setting up a meeting with other associates to ask questions. Is that really true? Were you able to do that? Can you see how we're moving to the next appointment? That's all we want to do, is move to the next appointment. Sound good? Because if they're moving with you, chances are you're moving in the right direction. That's all you want to do, is just get it moving in the right direction. By the way, if you have 17 people that are all moving in the right direction, what do you think your net's going to be? It's better. It's going to be better. So if you've got 17 people all moving, chances are you're probably going to be doing it. So now what you need to do is you need to reload and making sure that you're doing this exact same process. By the way, are you doing any closing techniques with them? And then I did this. And then I did this. No. You're just building a relationship. It's natural. Remember yesterday someone said, I want to close. And I said, yeah. And then they said, I don't want it to be like all stressful. Hey, you're closing all the time. It's just not, you just don't have that icky feeling. You don't have it. They don't have it. Sound good? Okay. The way you close, I want to give you a possible technique. The way you close is always use the 1 to 10. At the end of this, remember you said, I have 2 goals today. One is to get to know you. The other one is to tell you everything that you want to know about Keller Williams. At the end of that, after the end of your presentation, what you do is you want to say, listen, I've really enjoyed our time together. This has been great. I can see why you're so successful. What I would like to do is I would like to get together again. What I want you to know is I'm going to be calling you in 3 days. The reason why I'm going to be calling you is not to close you. But what's going to happen is you're going to leave here and you're going to get so excited, and then there's going to be some other questions when you're talking to your spouse, you're talking with your significant other, you're talking with your business associates, your business coaches. They're going to sit there. Did you ask that question? You say, no, I didn't ask that question. So what I'm going to be doing in 3 days from now, I'm going to be calling you. I'm going to be calling you just to see if you have any questions. Does that sound fair? Okay. In the meantime, what's happening, as soon as they leave, I'm going to be writing a note saying how much I enjoyed this. If they're into gardening, I'm going to make sure that they get that book within the next 3 days. I'm going to make all those things so that by the time that I call in 3 days, they're going to have a note, they may have a gift, they may have something, and they're going to be like, whoa, I like this person. Okay? Then when I call, they're like, thank you so much for your note, thank you so much for the book on gardening, what have you. See how you're setting it up? Then before they leave, I'm going to say, listen, I promised you that I wasn't going to close you. I promise. And I wanted to. This just kind of helps me understand where we are. It's kind of a clarifying question. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 saying you wanted to be at Keller Williams today, and 1 saying, hey, thanks for your time, where do you think you'd rank yourself? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 saying that you want to be at Keller Williams today, and 1 saying, hey, thanks so much for your time, where do you think you'd rank yourself? Well, I think I'm probably about an 8. Really? Wow. What would it take to be a 9? I'm not closing you. I'm just clarifying. What would it take to be a 9? Well, I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk with my spouse And what I'd like to do is, you mentioned that maybe you'd like to would it be all right if maybe we got together and do that? Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call you in 3 days, and what we're going to do is we're going to set that up if that works for you. Or if you want to do it right now, we can do that. But remember, I told you I wasn't going to close you. Does that sound tough? If you were sitting on the other side, how would you feel about that? Would that feel good? You know exactly where they are. Okay. Now let's say you're at the next meeting. Say last night. Now you close. Now the next meeting, you do all your talking at the next meeting. At the end of that meeting, you know what you're going to do? Okay, you know it's coming. It's not a closing question. Just kind of see where we are on a scale of 1 to 10. Last time you said an 8. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 saying that you want to be at Keller Williams tomorrow, 1 saying, where are we? I'm thinking about a 9. What would we need to do to make it a 2 at 10? Who's in control of this conversation? Actually, who thinks they're in control of this conversation? They do. You're in control. Does it matter who's in control? No, not at this point. It's relationship. This isn't manipulative or any of those things. It's just finding out. It's clarifying. How many team leaders say, I think it went well. I think it went well in that recruiting presentation. I think it did, but I just have no way of knowing. Do you know? Do you know now where they are? Okay. See that? Sound good? Okay. All right. So now what we do on page 71, is that we've got that is, when would you use this script? If I could show you proven models and systems developed by our Keller Williams Realty that would dramatically increase your production and allow you to make more money in less time and pay you residual income, would you be interested in talking about it with us? When would you use this script? When they're interested about this stuff. That's when you would use this script. Just out of curiosity, what's your game plan to retire? When are you going to use this script? When they're interested in retirement. You mentioned on the phone that you want to take your business from such to such. When would you use this script? When they mention it on the phone. So are you getting this? Never use a script if it doesn't apply. Okay? Never use a script. Well, I learned the script. Don't use a script if it doesn't apply. John, but I just wanted to throw it out there. Okay. Always what we're going to do is we're going to turn to page 74. Page 74. Always follow up, folks. It is the key. I want you to understand the truth is always follow up. Think of if you've got a $2 million producer in front of you, or if you've got a $5 million producer, if you're showing $2 million properties, how long is that process? Do you think it's going to be, I want this $2 million house done? Could it happen? It could happen. Is it the norm? Not usually. Just understand, if you're dealing with a $50 million producer and they say, you know what, sign me up. You meet with them once and they say, sign me up. You know what I would do? I would ask what's going on. You know, what's going on for a $50 million producer to jump that quickly? I want to know. Understand, just like with selling houses, the larger that volume is sometimes the longer it's going to take. And then maybe it's not time. Maybe it's the more issues or the more opportunities that we have to solve. And when people go, well, wow. Think of anybody that helps you solve problems. Do you think that person's valuable? Do you want to be in business with them? Think of that you're going to be incredibly valuable to this mega agent. Does that give you power? Think of it that way. The needs analysis, if you do the needs analysis, all you have to do is keep talking about the needs analysis, the issues in the needs analysis, and they will love you. You don't have to do any work. All you have to do is just keep repeating yourself. Not repeating yourself, repeating what they said to you. And then they go, yeah, I really do want to look at that. Hey, a lot in this chapter. What'd you get? 5 ahas and you're on break. What'd you get? Take notes. Take notes when? Doing the needs. Why? Vicky, great job. What's another one?
do the call in 3 days to set the appointment. We are taught so often to never leave without having an appointment there, and what happens is they often don't keep that second appointment. Doing the 3 days and sending that note, that's huge.
Do the 3 days and make sure you call and say, I want to make sure I was keeping my commitment to you. What do people think about management, traditional management? They say whatever they're going to say. You say, I wanted to make sure I was keeping my commitment to you, and they're like, yeah, they did say that they were going to call in 3 days. Yeah, they are calling in 3 days. Yes.
Find out where you're at the end of the interview, the 1 to 10.
1 to 10. Find out where you are. That's fair. That's just fair. What else? Yes.
Number one recruiting event is free.
Number one recruiting event is free.
My sales meeting.
Yeah, is the sales meeting.
Duh. Thank you.
There you go. Smokey Garrett. Let's give Smokey Garrett a round of applause. In spite of his OP, you're good. Got to watch out. Okay, anything else? We'll see you guys in 10 minutes. Great job. And we're wrapping up. This next chapter goes really fast.